All right, good morning, Good News Church. Good to see you guys. My name is Mike Bro, and I got to hang out here last week with y'all. I get to hang out here this week and next week as well, giving Pastor Brad a much-deserved time away with his family, little sabbatical going on. So I got to rearrange my schedule so I could be here at Santa Rosa Beach for a few weeks, and it's a nice place to hang out. We love it here, and it's a good break for us as well. If you're with us last week, we started a series called Walker to Walker. And what we're talking about is those stages of life, all the way. You might remember we had, if you weren't here, we had props, lots of props. And the staff is glad I have no props today. But we started with a baby walker over here, and then we had like a bicycle, then we had a skateboard, and then we had this sweet motorcycle. Don't know where they got it, but a motorcycle. Then we had like an adult walker on the other end. We just talked about how life is pretty much from the walker to the walker and different seasons in between. And we learned that happens so quick. Life is so short. But we also talked about God is so faithful. And we're just talking about in this series some must-haves for you and I to incorporate in our life to make that journey what God intended for it to be. So last week we talked about trust. We got to have trust. That's like what we've been singing today. God is so faithful. He is so good. Really to trust. To trust, we said last week, is to be convinced of the reliability of God. Great is his faithfulness. And today, I want to talk about two words that can just make a huge difference in your life. You know, sometimes you might hear an amazing 17-minute TED Talk or a 30-minute Brad Talk, or you might read an incredible 500-page novel, or you might see some thought-provoking 140-character social media post, and it completely changes your perspective on something. But sometimes all it takes is like two words. I mean, there's power in some two-word phrases such as, you're hired, you're fired, pull over, right? Sometimes two words can change like everything. Sort of like, she's cute, just friends, date night, long kiss, head spins, in love, marry me, I do, I'm pregnant, it's triplets, we're broke. Sometimes just two words can change everything in your life. But I believe that two of the most powerful words that are used together are the words thank you. I'm just learning that gratitude in your life changes everything. I told you last weekend that my wife Debbie and I have 10 grandkids, which again is amazing for a 38-year-old man. But having a bunch of little kids running around our house again, it is one of the greatest seasons of my life. It's so fun. And man, we got a bunch. We got little cousins down the street as well. We got toys everywhere. We got clothes everywhere. We got diapers everywhere. We got kids' books all over the floor, books I can understand, because I need pictures when I read. I don't know about you, but I love those children's books. And I picked up one. I ran across this great line from the classic Winnie the Pooh book. And it said this: Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. And I thought, that's the kind of heart I want, don't you? So I just want to hang for a few minutes today in the words written by this guy named Paul, who was in prison for his faith in Jesus Christ. And these are not the words you would expect to hear coming out of a dark, damp prison cell. But this is what he writes in Philippians 4, beginning in verse 11. I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it's with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. Man, that is such a rich passage of Scripture. I have learned how to be content. And I want to learn that secret too, don't you? Because let's face it, it's not easy to live with contentment in this culture, especially with social media, right? We scroll through our social media feeds and we see everybody's highlight reel, right? How they lost 30 pounds in just 3 days. Their stunning vacation photos, their amazing Pinterest-inspired preschool snacks they're making, their CrossFit workout of the day. All their kids are dressed in adorable outfits that they handcrafted, and all the kids are eating vegetables from the garden that they planted, and they're sitting around a farmhouse table that they built in one afternoon from some old palace they found behind the Piggly Wiggly, right? And all of a sudden, we fall into this thing called the comparison trap. And we start believing that we're not good enough, that we're not beautiful enough, we're not ripped enough, we're not smart enough, we're not worthy enough, we're not blessed enough. And gang, I'm just telling you from personal experience, living there, man, a lack of gratitude can take you to some very unhealthy places. It starts to fuel this little thing called envy. This definition of envy has really helped me through the years. Let me give it to you. Envy is resenting God's goodness in someone else's life while ignoring his goodness in mine. Envy is resenting God's goodness in somebody else's life while ignoring his goodness in mine. They call envy the green-eyed what? Monster, right? Even though we label it as a monster, we tend to think of it as one of those lesser sins. But do you know that envy is listed in the New Testament right there beside some pretty ugly stuff? Right next to deceit, orgies, hypocrisy, anger, malice, slander, stealing, murder. I mean, few of us would put envy and murder in the same, sin classification. We don't think as envy as part of a dark character, but it is. And if envy goes unchecked, it will have all kinds of murderous effects on our life. For starters, envy ruins our health. All kinds of studies back this up. It's impossible to be an envious person and a healthy person at the same time. Envious is insidious and progressive in nature. It just keeps chipping away at our insides. It eats away at our peace. And when your peace is gone, man, your contentment is gone. And when your contentment is gone, your gratitude is gone. And when your gratitude is gone, man, your joy is gone. And when your joy is gone, your strength is gone. And when your strength is gone, worry and anxiety step into that void and start to rob your sleep. And your nerves begin to tighten. And your body begins to break down with headaches and backaches and knots in your stomach. And hypertension goes through the roof. It's why it says this in Proverbs chapter 14. It says, a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Again, fueled by ingratitude. Envy not only ruins our health, but you know as well as I do, it wrecks our relationships. It blinds us to all the good things in our own life and begins to point out our own shortcomings, which in turn fuels this out-of-control obsession to compete and win. And we start to view other people only as threats. I'm telling you, the comparison trap is a very unhealthy place to live. Solomon, we talked about him a little bit last week, made this wise observation, wrote in his journal called Ecclesiastes, and I think this totally nails our culture. He says, then I observed that most people are motivated to success by their envy of their neighbors. But this too is meaningless. It's like chasing a win. Here's the richest guy who ever lives, him, and there's no win in comparison. Just no win in comparison. But dang it, we try, don't we? I like how Andy Stanley calls it living in the land of We long for the land of where it's not enough to be pretty, got to be pretty-er. Not enough to be thin, got to be thin-er, strong-er, smart-er, rich-er, nice-er. And you might think that once you arrived in the land of you would finally be content, right? Oh no. Singing that siren song out there in the blue turquoise waters is the Isle of Est. Whereas now it's not enough to be prettier. Got to be pretty-est. Got to be thin-est. Got to be strong-est, rich-est, nice-est, reposted-est, right? The Isle of Est, and I've spent some time there, is a lonely, lonely place to live. Because, gang, it's a mirage. And living there breeds enormous discontentment. It sucks the joy out of your life. It robs your peace. It just fuels this life of ingratitude. And I don't think I'm overstating this at all. This is a big deal we don't talk about enough. Think about this for a second. Ingratitude was the reason for the fall. It was humanity's discontent with all that God has so freely blessed them with. They were living in absolute paradise, and they said, yeah, but what about that? Huh? What about that? I believe that ingratitude is the catalyst for all my sins. It empowers my self-centered pride. It stokes my jealousy. It fans the flames of lust and envy. And if ingratitude is the culprit, then maybe, just maybe, gratitude is the cure. Just like trust we talked about last week, gratitude is an absolute must-have for this journey from the walker to the walker. There is enormous power in gratitude. I have found in my own life to be an absolute game changer. So let me just give you a couple of simple things to think about and put into practice this week that can maybe help you climb out of the comparison trap or help you from even falling into it in the first place. And maybe it will begin to fill all of our hearts with a rather large amount of gratitude. Very simple. Here we go. Number one is this: start counting. Start counting. Like I said, we got a lot of little kids running around our house. The youngest is Dutton. He just turned 3 and he's starting to learn how to count. It's so cute. 1, 2, 3, 7, 4, 8, 2. You know, it's one of the first things kids learn how to do, right? Is count. In 1897, a songwriter named Jonathan Oatman wrote the words of a simple yet profound hymn. It was originally written for student ministry back in that era to encourage young people to live their whole lives with gratitude. And this is what the old hymn says: when upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, well, count your many blessings. Name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Counting matters. The band will tell you, counting matters. When you're a musician and you stop counting, you are totally lost. In fact, if one person in the band stops counting, the whole band is lost. The song loses its rhythm and its focus and its harmony. And gang, when you and I fail to keep counting our blessings, that's when our life loses the song. So I'm learning that if you want to discover or rediscover the rhythms of grace and joy and peace in your life and contentment, start counting the gifts that God has given you. I mean, honestly, count them. Write them down. Sit down maybe with a notebook and a pen, just whatever comes to your mind. Just jot it down, whatever pops in your head. Good things like pepperoni, puppies, putting your underwear on straight out of the dryer, whatever it is, just start counting them up. We got this little needlepoint piece of art in our kitchen that says this: contentment is not the achievement of all that we want. It's the realization of all we already have. And man, we've all been blessed, haven't we? We've all been blessed. There's a little way that I practice this. It's really helped me. Sometimes when I pray, I like to think of my prayers sometimes as different styles of music, and most of the time it's jazz, where I'm just impromptu all over the place, you know. And so I had to get a little structure in this gratitude thing. So I started doing the ABCs. Now this is a very simple thing to do, but man, it has radically changed my life. In the morning, in the evening, throughout the day, I'll just kind of close my eyes, and maybe I'm laying there in bed in the morning, and I'll just start going through the ABCs. And the first time, I go through it 3 times. The first time I go through it, I just do attributes of God. Whatever about God just pops in my head. It could be amazing, beautiful, Christ, divine, everlasting, faithful, good, heavenly, intelligent, joy, whatever pops in my head about God. And then I go through a second time, and I just do things in my life that's just anything that pops in my head, I count it. I could go, you know, apples, bugs, never bugs, cats, never cats, dogs. You know, I just go through I've been thankful for xylophones and zebras a lot, because once you get to the end, it's kind of hard to think of things. But I added a third time through a few years ago, and it's been transformative for me. I added people. And it's amazing the kind of people that pop into my head. I'm talking people I haven't thought about in 30, 40 years. God will just bring them to mind. And I'm sure very soon when I get to G, it's going to be good news. I'm going to be thankful for the people of good news. I mean, it's just the way that goes for me. It's been so transformational in my life. I've been practicing for a long time now, and it's kind of swept away that entitlement feeling. You know, I deserve better type of attitude you can live with. I was sitting on the beach, and we used to live in Ventura, California. And I go down the beach, I took my laptop, and I was just doing a gratitude list. I was working on a sermon first, and then I just kind of switched gears and started doing a gratitude list. I was just jotting down anything that came into my mind working the ABCs. And I'm the only guy, I'm sitting back in the dunes, and I look up, and there's a guy and his little boy, probably 3 or 4 years old, the little boy was, and I'm just watching him. And this dad would scoop up this little kid, and he would run full speed off the beach into the ocean, and a wave would hit him and just water would go flying all over him, and the little boy would just crack up laughing. Then they'd go back to the beach, and he'd set him down, and they'd go, oh, and he'd grab him again and run to the ocean, take a wave, and water just go flying. They were just having the time of their life, and I'm watching this whole thing. And I feel like in that moment, God said to me, you see those guys? That's me and you. That's how much I love you, want to hang out with you. You have no idea, bro, how many waves I've shouldered for you in your life. That's a picture of our relationship. And I'm getting all choked up sitting back on the dunes watching. Then I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, go tell that guy. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. No, go tell that, because I was like, all right. So I get up and I walk down, this total stranger, walk down the beach, and this guy is huge. He is so jacked, and he's got tats everywhere. He's a big old dude. I said, hey, man, I don't want you to think I'm like creepy stalker man sitting back here, but I was just watching you and your son. I just had to come down and tell you, you're a great dad. And he looked at me and went, well, thanks, dude. I go, yeah, I had to come tell you that. I think that God wanted me to tell you that today. I don't know, when I was watching you guys, I felt like God said, that's a picture of the way I love you. I scoop you up on the shoulder waves, and I just kind of come down and thank you for giving me a picture of the way God loves us all. This guy starts tearing up. I'm going, are we going to hug it out on the beach? I don't even know you, man, So I just want to tell you that. So I'm going to go back over here and sit in my spot. But it was one of those moments I'll never forget in my life. And it all came out of a gratitude list. Just making a gratitude list. I mean, people in recovery will tell you, one of the key things in staying sober is working gratitude every day of your life. Just start counting. Just build it into the regular rhythm of your day. I want you to look at that passage once again from Philippians 4. We'll throw it up on the screen again. I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. For I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it's with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. I had to circle that word learned in my Bible, because I love how he said, I have learned. Like, how do you learn anything? You practice, right? You practice. I heard an old story about a person who shows up in New York City as a tourist, and they asked somebody on the street, hey, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? They said, practice, 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 right? I was watching the PGA Golf Championship yesterday, and just watching these guys hit golf balls out of sand traps and stuff, and go, man, they must practice. They must practice. You watch somebody play guitar on our stage, you go, I think that dude, he must practice, right? You hear a guy like me preach, you go, that guy needs to practice. But you learn things by practicing, right? Here's the deal. You learn contentment by practicing gratitude. You learn contentment by practicing gratitude. You ever been on one of those glass bottom boat tour things? They got them like over in Clearwater, or maybe out in the Gulf, or maybe in the Caribbean, where you get on this glass bottom boat, and everybody crowds around the glass viewing area. And then pretty soon, as the boat gets going, people start moving away, because there's really nothing to see, right? I mean, it's just a blur of water, and the faster the boat goes, it just becomes like this. Everything's lost below the surface in the darkness of the water. But then the captain pulls it into a cove, shuts off the engine, and things get real still, and all of a sudden, that glass bottom turns into this magnificent underwater world of beauty. And it was just a few feet away, just below the surface the whole time. But it wasn't visible, because the boat kept ripping through the water at a rapid pace. The only way to drink in the underwater wonder is to slow down and come to a complete stop. And gang, we're so good at skimming the surface, aren't we? We get going faster and faster and faster when so much is right there just below the surface. So I'm just trying to slow down and stop and notice and reflect and count and just practice giving thanks every day. I've had this on my desk for a long time now. It's by an author named Frederick Buechner. It's kind of guided my life through the years. Listen to your life, he says. See it for the fathomless mystery that it is, in the boredom and the pain of it, no less than the excitement and gladness. Touch, taste, Smell your way to the holy and hidden heart of it, because in the final analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. All throughout the Old Testament section of the Bible, you see the nation of Israel stopping to stack up rocks. They would build these stone altars as a place of remembrance for what God had just done in their lives. So through the years, as a family would be traveling along, they might see a broken down old pile of rocks, and a kid would ask, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, what's going on with this pile of rocks here?" And then the parent would have a chance to say, "Oh, let me tell you a story about the goodness and the faithfulness of God." And when you and I stop stacking stones, we stop telling the goodness of God. Now, I'm not suggesting you run out of here and go build a stone altar at your house, but maybe you could keep a gratitude scrapbook, or write in a journal, or do a blog post, or just capture moments of video or pictures on your phone. Why not teach your kids how important this is in their life, but just dedicate an entire wall in your house where they can just go every day and write something that they're super thankful for. However you do it, just practice it every day. Start counting what God has done in your life. Second thing is this, then share the joy. Share the joy. Count it up, then share the joy. Ever noticed how a negative kind of person just sucks the life out of a room? I mean, negativity, cynicism, ingratitude is contagious. But so is joy, and so is gratitude, and so is laughter. My wife, Debbie, is one of the most contagiously joyful people you will ever meet. Anybody who knows her will tell you the same thing. She absolutely giggles through life. She changes the environment of any room. She makes our family super fun. She makes anybody who walks through our doors feel at home. Why? Because she's taken a course from HGTV on how to make your home more inviting. No, it's because she's grateful. Somebody put it like this: it's not joy that makes us grateful, it's gratitude that makes us joyful. It's not joy that makes us grateful, it's gratitude that makes us joyful. Y'all got a bucket list? You know, I've got a few things. I mean, preaching in Santa Rosa Beach is one of those things. You can mark that one off my list. I think it's great to pursue those things. I would love to play Augusta National Golf Course sometime in my life. And I think it's okay to pursue those things. But here's what I'm realizing: that the elusive holy grail of joy is not found on some manicured green or some exotic location or some adrenaline rush experience. We don't have to travel to the land of Ur or the Isle of Est. The only place we need to visit before we kick the bucket is the land of gratitude. Because I'm discovering that to find real paradise, I got to run from the desert of entitlement and ungratefulness to a place of wonder and awe that flows from knowing the goodness of God in my life. And I'm so glad that these days, the very top of my bucket list, right next to following Jesus, is just having a thankful heart. I just want to live with a heart of gratitude. You see, as long as thanks is possible, then joy is possible. Because joy finds its roots in thanksgiving. Sometimes people ask me as a pastor, they'll say, "Hey, bro, man," that's my name, by the way. I'm wondering about God's will for my life. I'm trying to figure things out, man. I'm trying to discover God's will. What is God's will for my life? And I'll often take into this verse from 1 Thessalonians 5. Always be joyful, never stop praying. Be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. They go, yeah, I know all that stuff, man. I'm just wondering, what is God's plan for my life? I'd like to know, what is God's will for me? And I'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I've totally misunderstood you. God's will for your life, always be joyful, never stop praying, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for your life." Start counting and share the joy. When you have thanksgiving in your heart, it removes that sense of entitlement we tend to carry. You come to God every day just grateful for what you have, and you humbly tell him what you need, and you do it all the time, through the good and through the bad. I'll never forget, there's a lot of people in my life I'll never forget. Many times when I've gone through the ABCs and I get to F, I think of Fannie. Fannie Hamilton is one of my favorite people I've ever known in my life. She was 85 years old, and she served our students at the church I served. She worked with our high school kids. And she was an amazing person. Our students loved Fannie Hamilton. She was unbelievable. Fannie had a stroke, and it paralyzed the right side of her body, so it made it really hard for her to come to church and get to the youth group things and stuff like that. But she did it. She'd have someone come and help her, and it would take her 2 hours to get ready, but she got ready, and she would come, and she's so faithful. She was just an amazing person. She's one of the people that told me, I pray for you every day, and I knew she did. I knew she prayed for me every day. One weekend, I'll never forget it. You know how sometimes you get these freeze frame moments in your head? I'm standing up about right here on stage. I was leading worship that weekend. And I looked over in our student section, and all these high school kids are sitting over here, and Fanny Hamilton's right in the middle of all these high school kids just singing her heart out. And I watched her. Now, I'll never forget this. I watched her take her good hand and reach over and grab her paralyzed arm and just raise it up to God as she worshiped, as if to say, even in this, I will praise you for your goodness. You see, gratitude is all inclusive. It flows from a deep place that just shares the joy. I got to go to Israel a while back, and over in the land where Jesus walked. And there's this mountain there called Mount Hermon. It has snow on the top, the very high mountain has snow on the top, and snow melts from the peak and flows down into this body of water known as the Jordan River. You probably heard of the Jordan River. It's where John the Baptist baptized people. Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River. Maybe some of you have done that, been baptized in the Jordan River. But the Jordan is a source of life for people, has been for thousands of years. And it flows southward down into a body of water known as the Sea of Galilee. A whole lot of the New Testament stories of Jesus centered around the Sea of Galilee. Sea of Galilee, man, it's beautiful. It is just a beautiful, like a humongous lake. It receives fresh water all the way from Mount Hermon through the Jordan River, and it is teeming with life, with fish. It's clear. People swim in it. People boat on it. And then it empties back into the Jordan River. And then the Jordan River continues to flow south into a body of water known as the Dead Sea. It's not so beautiful. The Dead Sea receives same fresh water from the north, all the way from Mount Hermon through the Jordan River to the Sea of Galilee. But the difference is there's no outlet. The Dead Sea doesn't give, it just takes. And as a consequence, nothing can really live in its bitter water. Two seas, fed by the exact same source. One gives and lives, the other hoards and dies. And if you and I only receive the goodness of God, and we never joyfully pour it out on other people, something inside of us dies. Our joy starts to die. You see, a life spent counting the blessings of God becomes a life spent giving away the blessings of God. God calls you and me to do thanks so that thanksgiving might turn into like thanks living. I'm just telling you, gratitude is a must-have for this walker-to-walker journey. So what do you say we start counting and really start practicing this? And this week, go share the joy. Let's just practice, 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 and maybe God will help develop in us the kind of heart that is able to hold a rather large amount of gratitude. So I'll give you a chance to get a head start on this. Just for a few minutes here today, I want to encourage you, challenge you, invite you just to do the ABCs, however you want to do them. Just sit here for a few moments. We're going to play some music. The band's going to come back out and lead us in one of my favorite worship songs. And just sit and just kind of work through the alphabet if you want to do it that way. Maybe be thankful for the people who you're sitting next to, the people that came with you, people down the road you don't even know. Just whatever it is in your heart, just maybe you're going through a tough time. You know, there have been times I got to the letter C and I got some really close people and I just go chemo. Because I know they're grateful for what they're going through, right? Even though it's hard. Maybe you're going through something hard right now. Just thank him for it. You don't have to be thankful for the circumstance, but in the circumstance, you do. So whatever pops in your head, just be grateful for a few minutes. Don't ask God for anything. Just tell him that you're grateful for his goodness. And we're going to sing this song as we do that. But there's going to be a part in the song where it just kind of begins to swell, and you're not going to be able to sit there. You just have to stand up. You got to pour out your heart to God. But let me pray, and then we'll do all that. Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for what you've been teaching me personally about this life of gratitude. And you know, God, I've got a long way to go, but I've come a long way from cynicism and entitlement. I'm so grateful to you. And so, Lord, I pray over the next few moments, we'll just have a chance to express in worship and prayer and just thinking with you of how good you are and how faithful you are. And we just offer you this as a moment of worship.